My father actually still makes fun of me. He says, you did your engineering in biotechnology, so you're neither an engineer nor a doctor. I think we in India have that. The objective here is, can we focus on that cutting edge innovation
Correct.
that'll be interesting for some of these larger companies. There's no other country which has that strategic advantage of technology that India already has. Stop dreaming, reach out to people when you can. If you don't hear back once, that's fine, like reach out again, but don't stop dreaming.
Perfect. So today we have very interesting guest, Mr. Tarun Walia. He is a senior director, data science, evaluation and integration. He's based in Boston.
Yes.
So welcome Tarun on Pharma now.
Thank you.
I think your designation itself is very huge.
Yeah.
So I'm going to first start with your journey, and I really wanted to understand what exactly you do in data science, evaluation, and integration as a part, right? So it seems very interesting. So yeah,
Absolutely.
let's quickly understand about how you first started your journey.
Sure. I mean, of course, the title is confusing, and I'll talk about what I do with Novo Nordisk. My journey actually started in India, where I did my engineering in biotechnology. Then I worked with a few companies handling BD strategy uh, for small biotechs as well as larger companies. And then I went to the US, did my MBA from MIT. That was a great experience. After MIT, I joined McKinsey, where I was leading strategy and BD
So which
efforts
McKinsey you joined?
in Boston.
In Boston. Okay.
Yes, McKinsey Boston, where I was leading their efforts in. I was an associate partner there,
Okay.
and I was leading their efforts in strategy and BD, focused on again life sciences and pharmaceutical companies.
Right.
And earlier this year, I joined Novo Nordisk, where, like you said, my title. So here I'm leading a group which is called DDI, which is due diligence and integrations. It has two different components. One is doing due diligence on opportunities that we intend to acquire or
Right.
license. And then the second component is integrating opportunities. Once we have acquired these opportunities, how do we make sure that the proper integration takes place within
Correct.
Novo Nordisk?
That's
And even within that, I would say there are two components. The opportunities that we evaluate can be molecular, or like small molecules, large molecules, or any other modalities, or they can be digital opportunities. And digital opportunities can be data tools, digital tools, or digital biomarkers.
Right.
So there are many ways and that we evaluate opportunities and then help integrate within Novo Nordisk.
Okay. So I will come back to your role and we'll deep dive into it. But before that, let me go back to your biotech engineering days. Which college you did? Your engineering?
Kurukshetra University.
Kurukshetra University. Oh, Delhi. Noida.
Kurukshetra.
Kurukshetra.
Yeah.
Yeah. That means like north. Perfect. So during doing your engineering, have you imagined you will end up in such kind of role?
Never. Never. I think there was such dearth of information that time, and my father actually still makes fun of me. He says, "You did your engineering in biotechnology, so you're neither an engineer nor a doctor." So, so there are two ways to look at it, right?
Which year this was?
At 2007, I
2007.
graduated.
Okay.
So yeah, long back. But yes, he still makes fun of me with that. But my answer to him is, hey, like I know both a little.
So I can say from those days you are doing integrations.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Right? That's interesting. And then you chose MBA from MIT.
Yeah.
Right. What was how was the days in MIT?
So I think I was one of the. So I already had more than 10 years of experience when I decided to do my MBA. And
that's a very interesting area. Look, after doing 10 years in India, you were in India at that time?
Yes. So some years in India, some in the US,
Okay.
where I was working for a company, BioXL, which also had offices in
Oh,
Connecticut.
BioXL you were part of. Okay.
Yeah.
So you had already started your career in biotech area.
Yes, yes.
And then you took a break and you went to MIT.
Yes,
It
yes.
must be very hard.
Oh, it was a very. I mean, I already had a kid by then, and
Really?
So it was a hard choice.
So what motivates you? What inspires you to take that decision?
I think constant learning. I was feeling I'm hitting the roof here in India.
Okay.
Again, great organizations, but I wanted to work at the intersection of data, business, and science.
Okay.
And there is no better place than MIT to learn all of that together, right? So I was talking to a mentor, and he said there is a big need of people who understand data as well as business really well. There are
Right.
people who understand business well, there are people who understand science well, there are people who understand data well. But
Correct.
at the intersection, there are very few people working on
Right.
right now.
Right.
So how can I be that leader working at that intersection? I didn't think there is a better place than MIT. Boston is the hub, Cambridge
Sure.
is the hub, so much
Absolutely.
innovation happening. And I just felt I have to be there to do that.
Wow. I think it must be a very courageous decision,
Yeah.
having a kid and breaking the revenue side and getting into education once
Absolutely.
again. That's really appreciable. Okay, let's come back to your current role now. So you were talking about you are responsible for a lot of integrations and M&A area. So let's put more light on it. What exactly for our audience? Let's make it very simple.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, what goes in an M&A is there are various stages, right? The first stage is search and evaluation, where you basically identify what opportunities you want to acquire. Of course, you have a strategy that I want to focus on this therapy area. In our case, it is diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular, which are the areas we are focused on. And then once you've done the search and eval, you have a handful of companies, then you do a due diligence or an evaluation, and then there are various elements that you evaluate during a due diligence.
Right.
You focus on the clinical trials, you use biostatistics, you use your pharmacometric tools, you look at the real world data, you use AI technology. So there are various ways you evaluate the data and the companies that are in front of you and say, yes, this company fits with our portfolio well, and we think that we should go ahead and acquire it.
Okay.
So there's a big team that makes this decisions.
So you are basically a
together.
hunter.
So no, I wouldn't say that. I'm more of like a due diligence person who's like
Okay.
doing the due diligence, and then once we have done the due diligence, then of course the deal team takes it forward,
Right.
and they close the deal, and then we do the integrations.
Right. So what are the priorities right now for your organization in terms of M&A?
So I think like it's all mentioned in the public domain. The focus we have is on obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular, and some rare diseases.
Okay. So now how it overall in a paradigm of, let's say, I can say M&A, because what I can understand about the pharma industry is there are both ways. Rather, pharma industry is more inclined towards inorganic growth, and rather the big MNCs more focus on inorganic growth, right? So how do you find this as an opportunity for Indian companies?
I think it's a great opportunity. The one thing that Indian companies have to more focus is on novel compounds, right? We've been so driven by our expertise in chemistry, small molecules, where we are experts in generics, right? But if we have to be that global leader, then we need to build that capability in other modalities as well, like gene therapy or biosimilars, antibodies, and then be that cutting edge innovation happen here in India. So that can help drive a lot of investments as well, and then we can become those M&A targets. Because why is it that the large pharmas are acquiring these companies? Is because of innovations, right? So of course you have innovation happening in a large pharma, but some of these smaller companies are so agile, so focused on the next clinical trial and approvals, that they are very focused on risk taking ability. And I think we in India have that. The objective here is, can we focus on that cutting edge innovation?
Correct.
That'll be interesting for some of these larger companies.
Okay, so I think my question is extended to this talk only. So there are so many companies in India, rather so many entrepreneurs. They have a vision to build a company to particular level, and then of course to get into M&A kind of area and sell this company to any of the MNC. So what would be your message to this kind of company? What all areas they should majorly focus on to make their company more attractive for M&A?
I think using AI ML to identify newer compounds, newer
Okay.
small molecules. There are so many technologies coming in. AlphaFold is a good example. where you can understand, how the molecules bind with different targets in the body.
Yeah.
So the cost to identify targets is reducing.
Yeah.
So if India can, like, if the companies here in India, if I were to do a startup, I would say, how can we leverage technology to identify molecules
Right.
which can then be tested in humans, right?
Right.
And that reduces the time to market, second, the cost to market.
Correct.
And there is no other country which has that strategic advantage of technology that India already has.
Right, right. Fantastic. Tarun, I think the last question. You are an Indian boy, yeah, and moved to US and now achieved a lot of stuff there, right? So there are a lot of youngsters who wants to get to that level, right? So what would be your message? How they should look at these as opportunity?
I think one thing I would say is don't stop dreaming. One thing I wanted to quote was, like, when I was studying, you talked about engineering. I couldn't even communicate really well because I come from a small town.
Yeah,
But how can you convert your weakness into your strength? And then finding those mentors
yeah.
constantly. Like when I was at MIT, I reached out to one of the fathers of molecular biology. His name is Dr. Harvey Lodish. He's
Okay.
teaching at MIT for the last 56 years. And he was looking for a teaching assistant. I fortunately got that role.
Wow.
And I asked him this question, like, it was such a pleasure to be in his presence, right? Like, his students have won Nobel Prizes. And I was like, I come from a small town in India and I have this opportunity to be the teaching assistant. And one thing he said was that, Tarun, for people like us, we want to give back to the young generation, and we are looking for people who have energy like you to give it back to. So now I'm in that phase where I am also learning, but I am also in the phase where I can mentor the young individuals. So if there are people who have that energy, then absolutely they can come up. So don't stop dreaming. Reach out to people when you can. If you don't hear back once, that's fine. Like, reach out again, but don't stop dreaming.
Wow, Tarun, I think this was a really amazing message, and I'm sure this will help a lot of people here. Wonderful. I think this was a very short discussion, but really amazing one. I really love this.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on Pharma now, and thanks for having
Absolutely.
me chatting.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thanks so much.